angry at the lack of real change, and when an army captain beat up a taxi driver, that anger exploded. The days of arbitrary arrest and harassment were not over. The new strongmen sent out to keep the peace are called the Leopards, Army shock troops organized by the American military mission in the first years of Baby Doc's rule. The American military attaché at that time told us the Leopard Corps was his idea. The embassy now denies any involvement in their formation.
It was trained by the American military mission. It was equipped by the American military mission. They had the Leopards created as a force to replace the Totomacous.
They wanted them to be a counterinsurgency group. At least that's the way it was told to me.
When James Byers got the Haitian government contract to train and equip the Leopards, it was 1971. There was a ban on all direct U.S. military assistance. His Miami firm Aerotrade did privately what the American government would not do publicly. His trainers were all American ex-military men. This is the first time he's talked about the Leopards.
What has happened now is that the Leopards, who are a formal group of soldiers, are now taking the place of the Totomacous.
Were they a crack unit?
Let me put it this way. They were a hell of a lot better than anything else they ever had down there. But now what they are is Thales-controlled terrorists. And I understand after John Claude left that they showed their true colors and went around killing and beating people. That's not what they were trained for, but that's obviously what they're used for now.
After Baby Doc left, one of the first U.S. aid shipments was new riot gear. The heavy arms started flowing 15 years ago through Aerotrade. What kinds of equipment were you bringing in?
Fully automatic weapons, thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition, helmets, uniforms, 30 caliber machine guns, 50 caliber machine guns, 20 millimeter rapid fire cannons. We gave them all of this. Well, they didn't even have toothbrushes or shaving equipment or underwear or anything else.
The CIA knew you were doing all this? How intimately? How much they know what you were doing?
Everything. Everything. They got copies of the contracts.
When we asked the CIA about Aerotrade, what are they going to say to us?
Aerotrade who?
And Washington wouldn't give you any trouble about shipping in all those arms to Haiti?
No. What were they going to do with it? The Haitians. They weren't going to attack anybody. Supposedly that stuff was for these so-called threats of invasion, which was ridiculous. But to any nation like that, they're toys. Unfortunately, the so-called toys that we sent and trained the Leopards with were used against the people.
He was going to buy something to bring to the kids. But when he get there, on the street, an army guy called him and tell him to come over. He told him, walk. Army car, they hold up him, they beat him up. It's a regular army. Leopard.
The regime hasn't changed. Only Duvalier is absent.
You don't think these tactics are going to change?
I think they're going to worsen.
The brutality?
Of course, yes.
Why?
Why? Peace and tranquility.
Haitians now refuse to suffer in silence. This leopard victim is paraded for all to see.
If we bring a man like Duvalier in power, and we arm him, and we keep him in power, and then we throw him out, well, I hope we know what we're doing. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. I know one thing. Our U.S. taxpayer is paying for that.
The CIA
divorcee who won the heart of the president for life and changed our country forever. This was Haiti last February, just after the dictator Baby Doc Duvalier fled the country. But what these familiar scenes did not reveal was the extent to which the passions and anger of the Haitian people were focused not just on the dictator, but also on his wife, Michelle Bennett Duvalier.
What? The first lady? She's a bum.
Michelle Bennett, she's a prostitute. She make voodoo to take trouble, and all the time she take marijuana.
Spending money, millions and millions of dollars.
Michelle Bennett, what you mean? Everybody call her is a lesbian.
She was a lesbian. She tried to eat all the little children.
For sacrifice. Okay. That's what she meant.
By sacrifice.
No charge about the former First Lady seemed too extreme. Throughout the country, chants and lurid songs about Michelle's sex life rang out on the streets. Graffiti and crude drawings appeared on walls. The body of this Tonton Macoute, a hated Duvalier security policeman, was roasted and paraded through the streets of the capital. When we talked to the people who murdered him, they told us that Michelle Duvalier had ordered the man to poison the water supply of the capital, and that they had killed him before he could carry out her order. Who told the Macoute to do that?
Qui est-ce qui dit Macoute pour faire ça?
Michelle Bennett.
Michelle Bennett.
But how did it happen that this one woman could have so mobilized the fury of a nation? The story begins 5 years ago in a moment of seeming innocence. June 5th, 1980, in a ceremony so lavish that the Guinness Book of Records lists it as one of the 3 most expensive weddings, Haiti's 28-year-old president for life, Jean-Claude Duvalier, marries Michelle Bennett, a divorcee and mother of 2. If it looked to the world like a grotesque demonstration of extravagance in the poorest country in the hemisphere, to most Haitians watching on television, it was enchanting. A storybook wedding of a king and a queen.
They liked her. They liked the queen. They wanted the queen. They had a queen.
Is that the way she saw herself, as a queen?
I don't think she saw herself as anything less than that.
Bernard Saint-Journet, one of Haiti's leading painters, was a favorite artist and frequent dinner guest of Baby Doc and Michelle.
And she suited the role because she was the first person in those 30 years to understand that show business was the name of the business. And her show business was very well done.
As First Lady, Michelle immediately enlisted Haiti's TV network to promote herself as a champion of the poor and to solicit contributions for her Michelle Bennett Duvalier Foundation. Every day, the elegant First Lady was featured in scenes like this, launching vaccination campaigns, touring hospitals, giving her heart to the people. It was a powerful image that won over even such a symbol of saintliness as Mother Teresa.
I've seen many people coming, and kings and people, presidents and prime ministers, but I have never seen the poor people being so familiar with their heads of state as they were with her. It was a beautiful lesson for me. I have learned something from you. So, thank you. And
she was capable of showing that she could be the very best, and in reality, she displayed that she was the very worst.
Joe Namfi, the brother of the new leader of Haiti, a businessman and perennial insider, he explained that an altogether different First Lady was surfacing inside the palace.
She took over literally this country, and within 1 year, she had kicked out of the palace Jean-Claude's mother. All of Jean-Claude's mother's relatives, 98 of them, were exiled. So she literally went after the Duvaliers with a vengeance. I mean, to literally exert her power.
As president for life, Baby Doc, with his private army of thugs, the Tonton Macoute, ruled Haiti with unchecked brutality. But by all accounts, he was always dominated by his sister and mother. And once Michelle purged them from the palace, she emerged as the unrivaled force behind the throne.
It was dumb, because when Michelle was speaking, and she would shut him out. Yes. She would shut him up.
In the cabinet meeting?
Oh, well, she insult anybody at any time. Nobody could resist her.
Oblin Jolicoeur, Haiti's omnipresent journalist and gossip columnist, and recently appointed Secretary of State for Information. Were people afraid of her?
I beg your pardon. She frightened everybody. And people avoided her because if she does not get what she wants, she would cry, she would try to break everything, she would go hysterical.
The system of government that Michelle came to influence so deeply was rooted in corruption. And as First Lady, she demanded a piece of the action for herself and her family. Almost overnight, her father, Ernest Bennett, who was reportedly on the verge of bankruptcy, became a wealthy man. With his daughter in the palace, he paid no export taxes and soon cornered much of the coffee trade. But this was all just a part of the official corruption that had become a way of life in Haiti. The majority of the country's 7 million citizens earn less than $150 a year. And for more than a quarter of a century, the Duvaliers used their power to extort nickels and dimes from every transaction carried out by these desperately poor people. Even U.S. aid shipments were often diverted and sold for profit in the marketplace. By the time of his marriage to Michelle, Baby Doc is said to have amassed a fortune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
He was simply not interested in running a country in a normal way.
What was he interested in?
Money, money, and money.
What about his wife? What was your impression of her?
She was even more greedy than he was himself, because she had to catch up, you see.
When Marc Bazin became Haiti's finance minister in 1982, he quickly became suspect by questioning the national budget, 30% of which, he says, went directly to Baby Doc and Michelle. So $60 million went for his and her personal use?
Absolutely.
Every year?
Oh, yes. And that was just official open corruption because it was coming out of the budget.
But what about the First Lady's foundation and the millions of dollars she had raised on behalf of the poor?
That was just a cover. Just a cover.
Was she taking a lot of money out of it, you think?
Oh, yes, yes. I believe that was a very important source of income for her.
This scene came to symbolize the blind arrogance of Baby Doc and Michelle's regime. The dictator hurling small change to the poor, while he and his wife extorted hundreds of millions.
Michelle came into the government through the bedroom, and she brought down the government in 5 years through her greed.
Since the 1960s, when he was condemned to death by Papa Doc, Ray Joseph, the editor of the Brooklyn-based newspaper, the Haiti Observateur, has chronicled the Haitian Revolution. He points to the Pope's visit in March 1983 as the first challenge to Baby Doc and Michelle.
The Pope was going beyond the Duvaliers, standing by him, and telling the Haitian people, I don't agree with what they're doing. We cannot have this scandalous wealth side by side with the abject poverty. Things have got to change. And from that speech of the Pope, the message went out that the Duvalier regime could no longer continue the way it was doing business.
Most every revolution has an event that finally triggers a people to action. Unlikely as it may seem, the incident in Haiti was a television broadcast, shown in squares like this across the country on TVs which the First Lady had installed to show her good works. And what the people of Haiti saw in May of